Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to Curious Minds Academy. In the last session, what we have discussed what do you mean by ethics? What do you mean by business ethics? And in this session, what we are going to discuss is a new topic, and the new topic is ethics for management accountants. Institute of Management Accountants, that is IMA, requires its members to adopt a professional code of conduct, to adopt professional ethics in their profession. And how do IMA ensure that their members are following professional code of conduct or professional ethics in their profession? For that, IMA has issued a statement of ethical professional practice. In that, IMA has clearly mentioned what all principles that their members should follow in their profession. And those four principles are: the first principle is honesty. The second principle is fairness. The third is objectivity. The fourth is responsibility. These are the four principles, that is honesty, fairness, objectivity and responsibility. These are the four principles that IMA in its statement of ethical professional practice has mentioned. This in your CMA US is called IMA's four overarching principles. This is called IMA's four overarching principles. The term overarching means comprehensive. It covers everything. So these are the four principles that has been listed by IMA. The first one is honesty, fairness, objectivity and responsibility. Honesty simply means being truthful to your job or profession. You shall not commit any fraud. Freedom from deceit. That's what do you mean by honesty principle. Fairness means being impartial in your job. Let's say you are the manager of this company and you have this best friend of yours working in that company. You cannot allow that person to log in late and log out early just because he is your best friend. So you need to be impartial. You shall not be partial to anyone. The third is objectivity. Objectivity means basing your decision on the basis of facts alone. You shall be free from your personal emotions. It's not like if you are happy, then you shall say yes to everything. If you are sad or angry, you shall say no to everything. Your job or your profession shall be free from your personal emotions. You shall take your judgment or decision on the basis of facts alone. Taking decision on the basis of facts. And what do you mean by responsibility? Responsibility means getting the job done in a timely manner, in a correct manner, and you shall take the responsibility. You shall be accountable if anything goes wrong in your job responsibility. So suppose if you are in charge of preparing the financial statements in the monthly closing, it's your responsibility to prepare the financial statement, and you shall prepare it correctly and in a timely manner. And if anything goes wrong in that preparation of financial statements, you shall take accountability. So that's what responsibility means: completing your job in a timely manner, in a correct manner, and you shall be accountable. So these are the four overarching principles that IMA has mentioned in its statement of ethical professional practice. These four are honesty, fairness, objectivity and responsibility. See, there is one more concept called standards. I will come to that. But many times students often get confused between this principles and standards because they are somewhat similar. In order to correctly memorize this IMA's four overarching principles, I am going to tell you a scenario, and that scenario enables you to correctly memorize these four principles. Imagine a courtroom, okay, where trial is taking place. This is a courtroom, and who all will be present in the courtroom? Obviously there will be judge, and this side, this is the judge, and this is the accused, and this side there stands the police, and this accused has an advocate. So here is the judge, here is the accused, here is the advocate of this accused, and here stands the police. So this is basically a courtroom scenario. So what do we expect normally from the accused? The accused need to confess his crime. He need to be honest about what all things he had done, whether he has done the crime or not. So this accused need to be honest. This is our first principle. And this police, okay, when they conduct the investigation, they need to be impartial. They should not have the prejudice that this accused has convicted the crime. So they need to be impartial, or there need to be fairness in the investigation done by the police. And this judge, he needs to give a judgment based on the facts provided to him and not on his emotions. So there goes objectivity. And there is this advocate who is responsible to the accused. He is responsible for the job he has undertaken on behalf of the accused. So this advocate is responsible on whether he gets bail, whether he gets convicted, or whether he is set free. So this is the responsibility function or responsibility principle. This is the fairness principle. This is objectivity, and this is the honest principle. So imagine this courtroom scenario whenever you find it confused to memorize these four principles. Next, we are going to take up the standards. Standards that has been provided by IMA in its statement of ethical professional practice. And do you know why IMA has provided separately standards apart from this principle? Because this principle cannot be measured. These principles cannot be measured. I cannot say that one guy is 80% honest and 20% dishonest. I cannot say one of my friend is 80% responsible or 90% responsible and 10% he is an irresponsible guy. I cannot say that. And there comes the importance of this standards. Since the principles cannot be measured in tangible terms, these standards have come to its importance. Unlike principles, these are certain criteria that the members need to satisfy, and if the members does not satisfy those requirements, there will be disciplinary action. So let's get into the standards. IMA has provided 4 number of standards. This is our standards. Do you know what the first standard is? It's called competence. And how do IMA ask you to be competent in your job? First, you need to improve your professional knowledge and skill. You need to improve your professional knowledge and skill. After improving your professional knowledge and skill, you need to perform your work in accordance with the rules and regulations. So, second point is, in layman words, do your job properly. After gaining expertise in your job, after you are able to deliver your job responsibilities in an expert way, then you can provide recommendations to the management in order to improve the job function, in order to further optimize the whole process. So first you need to improve your professional knowledge and skill, then you need to deliver your job responsibilities in accordance with the rules, regulations, etc. And the third is you can provide recommendation after you do your job. So that's the first standard, competence. The second standard that we are going to talk about is confidentiality. See, when you are working in a company, you handle lots of data, lots of confidential data, and it is your responsibility that this data doesn't go into the wrong hands. Yes, you can disclose this data, but only under two circumstances. Only if it is authorized by the management. For example, in the year-end, statutory auditors ask too much data from us, and we are responsible and we are authorized to provide them that data. So that is authorized by the management. And if any statutory authority or if any tax authorities, let's say for example, ask this data, then we can provide. Apart from these two circumstances, you shall not provide any data to any external party. It is your job responsibility to maintain the confidentiality of the data. So the third standard is credibility. So what does credibility imply? Credibility implies that whenever you are asked for any information or any report, you shall communicate the information in a objective way. You shall not sugarcoat the words. You shall get straight to the point. It should be fair and it should be objective. You shall communicate the information fairly and objectively. And whenever you are asked any information, you shall provide them the complete information. It shall not be incomplete, because incomplete information often leads to mistakes, bad decisions, etc. So the information that you need to provide shall be complete. And in case while providing any information, if you happen to have any difficulties, for example, if the management asks you to collect data from 3 of your subsidiaries and the third subsidiary is not providing you any detail. So you got the data from 2 of your subsidiaries, but the third subsidiary is not providing you any detail. You shall communicate this information to the management. Suppose if you have incurred any deficiencies, any limitations in providing that information, you shall report it. So communicate deficiencies also. The fourth standard is integrity. And what does integrity implies? Integrity implies that whenever you have any conflict of interest in performing your job responsibilities. By conflict of interest, I will give an example. Let's take a scenario. Okay, this is your company, okay, and there is this another company, and in this company you are holding 5% of the company shares. You are 5%, you have 5% shareholding in that company. So when the management asks you to take a decision on whether we need to acquire that company or not, you are naturally inclined towards the decision, okay, we'll acquire that company, and if we acquire that company, the share prices of that company will jump up, so indirectly I will get benefit, and that is your hidden agenda. So don't you think that there is a conflict of interest between your hidden agenda, your inferior motives, and the company's or your company's job responsibilities? Don't you think there is a conflict of interest? So mitigate that conflict of interest. It becomes part of this integrity standards. And you shall not enter into any transaction or any activity that prohibits you from performing your job responsibilities ethically. And you shall not enter into any activity that might discredit the profession. And you shall always contribute, by doing all these things, you shall always contribute to developing a positive ethical culture in your organization. So in this session, what we have discussed is, we have discussed the 4 overarching principles by IMA, and we have discussed the 4 standards. Now many times the students often get confused when asked a question on principles. When asked a question on principles, they get confused and they write standards, and when asked about standards, they get confused and some of them write what are the 4 principles. So this courtroom scenario, just remember this, it will help you to have a concrete idea on what are the principles and what are the standards. For standards, there is 3C and 1I. There is 3C and 1I. Competence, confidentiality, credibility, and there is 1I, that is for integrity. And that's it from this session. So I hope whatever has been dealt in this session, that is IMA's 4 overarching principles, overarching meaning comprehensive, IMA's 4 overarching principles, and this 4 standards are absolutely clear to you. So even if you have any doubt, please do contact me. Let's meet in the next session. Happy learning. Thank you.